Hey guys, Haz here at Shield Canine. So today I want to talk to you guys about my favorite mix of dog, okay? Now I know mixing dogs is a controversial topic. Some people don't believe it should ever occur. Some people are doing it willy-nilly. And then there are those people that are kind of, I think, in the mushy middle like me, where I think there's times when it's appropriate and then there's times when it's not. So let me get one thing out of the way really quickly. If you are mixing dogs that are unproven, if you're mixing dogs that don't come from backgrounds where you know the pedigree, you know multiple generations, you know the health testing, you know they're not proven individuals, and you're not mixing for any reason other than the appearance or you think something good is going to come from it, then you shouldn't be doing it. In my opinion, the only mixing that is appropriate is mixing that is occurring for a specific purpose. So whether it's hunting, whether it's protection, police work, something like that, then in my opinion, if you know what you're doing and you're using proven individuals, specific individuals that have a pedigree behind them of health tested, working quality, character tested dogs, then sure, it makes sense, as long as you know what you're doing, right? So right here, I have a German Shepherd and I have a Belgian Malinois. Now, I know some of you, the German Shepherd, I got a 150-pound German Shepherd. That's not a German Shepherd. He's a purebred German Shepherd from multiple generations of working lines, all health tested, you know, and you're 150, you might have a 150-pound dog, but I guarantee you my 65-pound German Shepherd here would eat your 150-pound dog, because he has the working quality and the character that we look for in the breed. And they're both young dogs, just to be clear. I think they're both about 16 months old. So they're definitely not full grown or fully mature yet. So anyways, why do I like the mix of these breeds? Well, number one, both of them are bred for relatively similar purposes. Both these breeds are bred for sport work, and they're also bred for police work quite a lot. So they actually have very similar purposes, and they've had very similar purposes for many, many generations. So that's why you see that the breeds look very similar, and they have very similar working traits. But if you've worked dogs, or if you've been around dogs for any length of time, you know that there's a difference between a Belgian Malinois and a German Shepherd, right? The Belgian Malinois tend to be, I always say, they're a little more neurotic, okay? They're a little more reactive. They're a little more sensitive, as some people call them. They're a little more intense. The German Shepherds tend to be a little more forgiving, a little harder in terms of they're a little bit more resilient to pressure from the handler, and I think they're more forgiving dogs in terms of the training, but maybe they have a little bit less neuroses and a little bit less intensity at times. So, you know, everybody has their opinion, whether you're in the sports side of things, whether you're in the real working side of things. You know, at the end of the day, all the dogs come from sporting backgrounds, right? So like the pedigrees, I don't care how badass you've got what kind of badass police dog you've got, you go back in there, there's multiple generations of sport dogs. That's where all the dogs that we use for actual real work come from. And these dogs, right, are bred depending on the breeder for specific traits. Now, the thing with the Belgian Malinois, right? And why would you breed these two dogs together? Like I said, they're bred for very specific things, but they might have a slightly different history, okay, in terms of what they're bred for. So the German Shepherd, I think the biggest difference between the two is the German Shepherd, there's always been more of a goal to create like a utility dog. It's a family dog, but it's also a working dog. And then there's always been a consideration for the appearance of the dog, right? Versus the Belgian Malinois, generally there hasn't been, you know, up until very recently, any consideration for the appearance of the dog. There's been many things bred into the Belgian Malinois because the only consideration with the Belgian Malinois was working performance. And there really wasn't a big concern about pedigrees or anything like that. So the German Shepherd, there was always dog shows, so there was always an element in the of concern for the conformation, the appearance, creating some uniformity, creating some specific standards for what the dog should look like. And like I said already, the Belgian Malinois was always just performance. You've got everything from, you know, pit bulls, schnauzers, German Shepherds, Dutch Shepherds, right? The Malinois, up until quite recently, there was a lot of things going on in there. I know, oh, Haz, you don't know, my dog, I did the embark testing. Okay, sure, you did your embark testing, congratulations, good for you. Now, back to the world of reality. Why would I breed these two dogs together? Well, like I said, very similar but slight divergences, right? So in my opinion, and this is based on me importing mixes from Europe and seeing firsthand what that mix has to offer, and then seeing a lot of these mixes in service, whether it's in the sport or whether it's in police services, right? These mixes can really produce some very, very nice dogs. And listen, you can breed you can just breed more pedigree Malinois, and you can breed more pedigree German Shepherds. There's a reason that people chose to do those mixes, is because in many cases, if you do the mixing properly and you know the individuals and you know what each bloodline brings, they can really complement each other. Obviously, not every puppy in the litter is going to be exactly what you want, but they can really complement each other. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about some of the different benefits that I've seen in all of this, in all the work. So give me a second. I'm going to grab a couple puppies that are mixes and we're going to talk. With me, Desi. Good girl. Okay guys, so I'm here now with two mixes. These guys are a few weeks apart, as you can obviously tell. Now on the left here, my left, is a 50-50 Malinois German Shepherd, and on my right, this is a 75% German Shepherd, 25% Malinois. Again, all working lines, all our dogs. We know the pedigrees, we know the health testing, and there's a reason why I do this. So I actually sell my registered German Shepherds for more. So if you follow me, you're on my website, you know that I sell my registered dogs for more, and I could easily breed pedigree Malinois too. There's a reason why we do these mixes. We do these mixes because we're looking for something that I think sometimes you can only find in hybrids, okay? Now this dog is a second generation hybrid. His mother we produced here as a 50-50 mix, very similar to this one, okay? Similar blood, not quite the same. His father, again, was my old competition dog, Onyx, right? So we do these mixes because I think the Malinois and the German Shepherd, when they come together properly, the weaknesses of the German Shepherd are improved. And in some cases, the weaknesses can be the workability, right? Sometimes the intensity, the German Shepherd might lack a little bit of intensity. And I know people be like, oh, not a good one. Yeah, but in many cases, sometimes there's just a little bit missing there. Not quite enough, okay? And then on the other side, think about the Malinois as putting a little bit of nitrous into the German Shepherd. Sometimes the things that you get with a Malinois that you don't like, whereas, a little bit too reactive, a little bit too sensitive maybe, a little bit less forgiving of handler mistakes, the German Shepherd can somewhat cover that, and it can make a dog that is a little bit more forgiving, a little bit less reactive. Now don't get me wrong, I've definitely had 50-50 mixes, right? Or even mixes where I'm not quite sure the content of each, not bred here, that I purchased in Europe, where I definitely see that the dogs are much more like Malinois, not just in appearance, but in their behavior, than like German Shepherds. I will say this, when you do the mix, you'll generally find, so this is a 50-50 mix, but if I didn't tell you that, you would think this is a purebred Belgian Malinois, right? The Malinois tends to be stronger, and I think that that's because they bred a little tighter. They're bred a little tighter multi-generationally, and that's probably why they're so good, right? Again, the German Shepherd, the idea with the German Shepherd was it would be more of a utility dog, versus the Malinois was just going to be a pure working dog. Like you take him out and you put him to work, whereas the German Shepherd was more like lives with the kids, but then also maybe goes and does some tracking, so on and so forth, right? So I think the mix together, you can get a dog where you are getting benefits from both sides of the equation. So that's personally why I do the mix. I really like it. I have videos of mixes that I've imported from Europe, paid really good money for them, and imported them from Europe without pedigrees, right? Sold them both to police departments and as personal protection dogs. And then, oh my gosh, and then you get dogs like this, and you can, it might be hard to tell, but I'm just gonna put that little guy down. Look at this guy. Like, you can just see he's a little bit, maybe a little more chill than your average Malinois, right? And again, this is a 75% German Shepherd, 25% Belgian Malinois, right? And again, the Belgian Malinois that we use here is the KNPV MVPK lines, okay? And it comes from a specific individual. I saw that dog and I was like, there's no way I cannot have this dog in my breeding program to some degree. So I call these herders, okay? It's the easiest way to refer to them. In Holland, Belgium, sometimes they refer to dogs like this as herders. You know, some people be like, oh no, you know, a herder is a FCI registered, whatever. Okay, we all know that papers can be put on any dog. At the end of the day, the most important thing is, what is the purpose of your program? For my program, both in my pure registered German Shepherds and in my herders, the purpose is exclusively a working dog. Whether it's a working dog in terms of a personal protection dog or in terms of a police service dog, that is what I'm after, or sport dogs as well, right? So if you're doing PSA or something like that, you might want a dog like this. And if you're doing maybe, you know, I really like these dogs for police service work. You're going to be seeing some of probably this litter in the next 7 to 8 months doing some police service work. And maybe even one of these guys too. We've kept puppies back that we're going to be bringing up, and you're going to be introduced to these puppies over the next couple of months. And we're bringing these puppies up, and we're going to be training them as executive protection dogs as well. So just a little quick blurb on what I think, you know, is a good kind of mix. And no, listen, I see a lot of people do. I'm just going to say this one more time because I know I have to. I don't care if you have a Doberman and your friend has a Rottweiler, and of course those two dogs are so awesome, so you put them together. You're gonna get garbage because you don't know what you're doing, right? Unless you're somebody that works your dogs, health tests your dogs, knows the parents, knows the grandparents, can see them working, don't do it. You're gonna end up with bad results, okay? And I say that for even if you're gonna breed purebred registered dogs. I don't care if that dog is CKC registered and that dog CKC registered. Don't breed them unless you have a specific purpose in mind other than selling puppies on Kijiji, okay? So, yeah, this is the 50-50. You can see a little bit, oh, it's a girl, a little more antsy, a little more, you know, just less chill than this guy here. So, I hope that this kind of opens your mind a little bit and just helps you understand why I do this mix, because a lot of people were asking, and I'll be showing some adults. I'm getting a really nice adult. I purchased this dog from Europe. His name was Chapel. I sold him as a personal protection dog. He's coming back now for more training because the owner wants to put a little more training on the dog because he likes the dog so much. So you guys are going to see that dog, and maybe you understand a little bit about what I'm talking about. And Chapel, for me, it personifies exactly what I'm talking about in terms of the best of both worlds. He's got the intensity of a Malinois, but he's a hard dog, he's resilient, and he can handle, I think, a little more stimulation than your average Malinois can, and he's forgiving with the handler, and he's a stable dog. So anyways, we're gonna conclude with that. Like, subscribe, comment below, follow us on Instagram, and if you wanna train with us online, join our online training classroom where you can train with us, everything from obedience training, puppy training, to protection training, and more. So feel free, again, like, subscribe, comment below. Let us know what you think, one way or the other. Even if it's not a good thing, it's okay. You let us know what you think.